Throughout America's story, there are defining days. Days when minds change, hearts fill, and imaginations soar. Days when visions transform the trajectory of the American story, which is our story. Doing what is hard and achieving what is great, that is what stirs humankind. That's what unites us. With inspiration and innovation, no Herculean effort is too large. No moonshot is beyond our reach.
And liftoff of Artemis 1.
A new generation, the Artemis generation, stands ready. Ready to return humanity to the moon and then to take us further than ever before to Mars. Let us continue the quest to unfold this universe. And let us continue to find unity in our discovery. So together, let us continue to dream the impossible dream that now becomes real. Then let us traverse the untouched terrain of the once unreachable stars.
I'm Michelle Jones in NASA's Office of Communications, and I would like to welcome everyone to our 2022 All Hands Celebration, live from NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. So listen, I'm sure you all agree, this has been an amazing year, right? This has been great. Today, we're going to take a moment to celebrate all of our successes and major accomplishments of 2022, and also what's to come in 2023, from the James Webb Space Telescope, DART, SWOT, and of course, Artemis 1. This has truly been a year full of wins. It's my pleasure to introduce Administrator Bill Nelson, Deputy Administrator Pam Melroy, and Associate Administrator Bob Cabana. We'll hear from all of them in just a few moments, but first, it was only a few days ago that Artemis 1 splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. So it seems only fitting to take a look back at the spectacular end to 2022 with the perfect start for the Artemis program. Let's take a look.
50 years after we last left footprints on the moon, NASA's Artemis 1 is our first bold step towards getting us back there and pushing us farther than we've ever been before. You are looking at the world's most powerful rocket and Orion spacecraft live on Launch Pad 39B. The energy here is palpable as we attempt to make history today.
We're going to learn so much about the solar system from the moon and even about the Earth.
Range weather. Weather is go for launch.
The mission management team has been pulled. You have a go to proceed with terminal count.
On behalf of all the men and women across our great nation who have worked to bring this hardware together to make this day possible, at this time I give you a go to resume count and launch Artemis 1.
4-stage engine start. 3, 2, 1. Boosters in ignition. And liftoff of Artemis 1. We rise together. Back to the moon and beyond.
SLS now traveling 607 miles per hour.
The harder the climb, the better the view. We showed the Space Coast tonight. What a beautiful view it is. The first step in returning our country to the moon and on to Mars.
We are understanding now from the James Webb Space Telescope just how big and vast this universe is. There's a lot out there to explore. And this is the next beginning.
Orion is now flying free, attached to the European Service Module and on its journey to the Moon.
Hi, everybody. What a year. What a year for NASA. What a year for exploration and innovation and discovery for all of humanity. Every accomplishment, every barrier broken, every imagination stirred. It's a direct result of you. And that's the NASA family. It's not a mistake that NASA was ranked as the best place to work in the federal government, and that was for an unprecedented 10th year in a row. Every day you poured yourselves into our missions that took years, sometimes decades, to plan and develop and execute. Missions that at times were met with challenges, even setbacks. But that didn't stop us. NASA missions are showing the world what we know to be true. Space is the place, even though space is hard. And on Sunday, the Orion spacecraft splashed down after that 1.4 million mile journey. Artemis 1 is paving the way for future lunar missions. And the next time, Artemis 2, it's going to be with 4 astronauts. Earlier this year, the James Webb Space Telescope kicked off a new era of astronomy. Every image is a new discovery. It deepens our understanding of the universe, just how big it is, and our place in it. And then DART changed the trajectory of an asteroid, marking a watershed moment for planetary defense. It was a smashing success, literally and figuratively. And we showed our commitment to exploring together with international partners in several ways. And it includes our commitment to extend the International Space Station through 2030. We continued to innovate with our commercial partners. Capstone, a joint venture between NASA and Advanced Space, it's making history right now. It's testing the unique orbit planned for the Gateway Lunar Space Station. And last month, we launched Lofted, a tech demonstration that tested inflatable heat shield technology that could be the key to landing humans on Mars. And on Thursday, if all of that's not enough, we'll launch SWAT, NASA's first global survey of the Earth's surface water. And it's going to provide data for clean air and clean water and long-term environmental changes. It's going to give us the elevation of all the waters on Earth, including the fresh waters. And then, not to mention our explorers, our astronauts. They continued regular missions to the ISS and are conducting more science than ever before. And I could keep going. But here's what's clear. 22 will go down in the history books as one of the most accomplished years all of NASA's history and missions. And we know there's so much to look forward to in 23. Climate missions that will tell us about how our Earth is changing. Game-changing aeronautics developments with the 59 and the X-57 experimental aircraft, and the selection of the first astronauts to go to the moon in more than 50 years. And there's a lot more coming. And so this is an exciting time to be at NASA. It's what I call the golden age of space exploration. But I also hope that you'll use the next few weeks. I want you, for our NASA family, to pause and to reflect. And in the coming days, we're going to gather for the holidays, and regardless of how much we celebrate, the spirit of this season unites us all. It's found in reunions with those that we love, in memories of those that we've lost, and in actions that uplift our communities and uplift our country that we so proudly serve. And that's why Pam and Bob and I have encouraged officials in charge of headquarters and the center directors to dismiss the NASA workforce up to 4 hours early on December 23rd. And they want me to say, provided an absence does not interfere with organized priorities. And I really hope that you're going to use this time. You all have earned it. Thank you for allowing me and Pam and Bob to have the privilege of trying to offer what little bit of leadership that we can to be at NASA with you. And for us, every day is a gift. And thank you for everything that you've done and that you will do. And I wish you the blessed and joyous holiday season.
When I was a little girl, I wanted to be an astronaut,
a scientist,
a doctor,
a fighter pilot.
When I was a little girl, I wanted to grow up to be strong and independent.
When we were asked to draw a picture of what we wanted to be when we grew up, I drew an astronaut standing on the surface of the moon.
All I thought about was when I was going to get to NASA.
It's a huge honor to be NASA's first female launch director, to be the launch director for Artemis. NASA has so many wonderful women pioneers, so many heroes to me.
Some of the most amazing women in my eyes are people like Katherine Johnson and the other women that you've seen in Hidden Figures.
Sometimes it's difficult to believe that I'm on this side now, wearing this blue flight suit with all of the other astronauts, representing this iconic image that had so inspired and excited me my entire life.
Being of South Asian heritage, Kalpana Chawla was just such a big thing for me growing up.
I've always looked up to Sally Ride and Mae Jemison, who really laid the foundation to allow people like me to be in the position that I am now.
All of these women were pushing those boundaries and breaking those glass ceilings.
Now, of course, there are some fantastic women in leadership positions that inspire me every day.
So much has changed since the Apollo program. During the Apollo 11 launch, we had one woman, one out of 400 engineers in the room. And I look at our team today, it's much more a reflection of the world that we live in.
A big piece of why it's so important to have women and diverse backgrounds, because it allows us to bring everybody along with us on this journey.
It doesn't really matter what you look like. If you've got the brains and you have the knowledge, we need you at the table.
We are at such an exciting time in human spaceflight right now, and Artemis is such a huge part of that.
We haven't been to the moon in many, many years. We have a lot of younger generation folks that have never seen that happen.
We will understand so much more about the moon, about the Earth, about our solar system.
We're going to stay. And to me, that's an amazing idea. The moon is going to be the blueprint for how we go to Mars and out into the solar system and maybe beyond.
It is incredibly exciting to be part of this Artemis team. It still feels pretty surreal to think that I might one day walk on the moon.
To see a woman and a person of color on the surface of the moon, to be able to say that space is for everyone and that we go to space to make life better here on Earth for everyone. I know that tears will be in my eyes.
My message to women and girls out there is to find your passion, whatever that is.
Don't let anyone tell you what you can do or can't do. Only you can realize your dreams.
Space is for everyone. And if me being in this role helps to send that message, I think that's a great thing.
And I just actually love that I don't feel like a woman at NASA. I just feel like a person at NASA.
The women of NASA are Artemis, and we make a difference every day.
I am NASA's Spacewalk Office Hardware Manager.
I'm the Program Scientist for Space Biology.
I'm the director of NASA's Johnson Space Center.
I am Artemis.
I am Artemis.
私はアルテミスです。Yo soy Artemis.
Us some Artemis.
Ana.
Je suis.
Ich bin
I
Artemis.
am Artemis.
I am Artemis.
Oh my goodness, don't we have a phenomenal team? I just love that movie. I love telling the story of the people at NASA and how we bring together all these disciplines and these diverse viewpoints. It's just really extraordinary. And of course, I want to reiterate what Bill said. What a fantastic year. And of course, you know, yes, there is rocket fuel involved. But rockets are launched by people, and it's the people of NASA that inspire me every day. I don't think that the agency has ever been busier or more successful carrying out such a huge range and a high tempo of challenging and very critical missions. I want you to know that we in the leadership team, Bill, Bob, and I, we know how hard it has been to keep up with the demands and how much we value and appreciate your hard work, your sacrifice, your passion. It's delivering an extraordinary return for the American people and for the world. When I think about the Webb first images as just the tip of the iceberg for what we will learn from that capability, the Artemis generation, which is now being inspired by the first moon mission safely home. I love DART, not just because it was an amazing success, but because it's actually showing us the beginnings of our strategy around protecting the planet, and also teaching us so much about the science of asteroids in the bargain. So the outside world may not always see how this all fits together, but we as a workforce, as a team, we need to see how our work individually is contributing to the bigger picture. And so that's very important that we take time to think about that. One of the big accomplishments last year is the Moon to Mars strategy. Thanks to the Federated Board, Bob and I both gave a thank you to the Federated Board for their work this year in helping on that strategy to create a blueprint for human exploration and science throughout the solar system. And it's being built on the foundation of what we have, right? We have great capabilities, we just demonstrated them. But we have to have the objectives going forward to make sure that we stay focused on what it takes to build that blueprint and make it all the way to Mars and beyond. It's also very critical for us to tell the story of our strategy and explain what the objectives are and how we are achieving them in order to have both political and financial resiliency for that strategy going forward. So communications is central. So we just saw a major success with Artemis 1. And as many of you know, the follow-on missions are well underway. We've got hardware all the way out to Artemis 5, and they're going to lead us to a long-term human presence around the moon where we can apply what we learn to missions on Mars and beyond. So at NASA, it's our mission to always be right at the cutting edge. That really defines us. It keeps us fresh, but it also means that we have to stay focused all the time on the next horizon. So when we released a revised set of the Moon to Mars objectives this fall with input from you, from industry, and from our international partners, academia, and the general public, over 5,000 inputs, it was with that horizon in mind, that next 20 years for NASA. We're looking out at that horizon with a tangible roadmap to get to the future that we envision. If you haven't had a chance to familiarize yourself with those objectives, please take some time to run through them because they're very important. And we're going to continue refining and honing them as new capabilities, new challenges, new learning, and new technologies arise. We need to constantly be agile and make sure that we are focused on the objectives, not on any one mission or hardware as the be-all, end-all. We have to keep thinking about making progress. And so I would like to just say, we know we have more work to do. I think it's really important to start with the end in mind, and that was with the blueprint, and work backwards from there. We have a lot of other areas that we need to make sure that the agency is ready to meet 2040 for NASA. And I look forward to that work and working with all of you on it. One of the things I did want to touch on, something I talk about every time I talk about NASA, is why. The question probably every single one of us gets at some time. Maybe it's from a stranger sitting next to you on an airplane. Maybe it's from a family member. They want to know, why are we going back to the moon? Why do we go to space? Why do we launch telescopes? Why do we do all the things that we do in space? And the answers unfold through the value to our citizens and to humanity that space uniquely offers, that only space can give us. And those three pillars are science, national posture, and inspiration. So each of them should be visible in everything we do. Learning about the formation of the cosmos and our solar system, the past, the present, and the future of our own Earth, our own planet and the moon, and looking at our own biology creates the knowledge and insights that are really fundamental to humanity's future. And we have a unique aspect through space and microgravity that we can learn from. The technology capabilities of a growing aerospace base lift all the fortunes of all Americans and the nations joining us and strengthen our posture for the future. And finally, of course, the inspiration to the Artemis generation, inspiring them to study in STEM and other fields, is driving that whole generation towards a future of potential and promise, and that is just as essential to the future of America and humanity. So the milestones ahead in the next year are incredible. OSIRIS-REx is very exciting, bringing home an asteroid sample. Wow, we're going to get a bunch more pictures from the moon when CLIPS brings commercial delivery to the moon, including very important science and technology demonstrations that are going to be foundational for the future. I'm very excited about our new X-planes, the X-57 and X-59, taking to the skies to open new doors for electric aircraft and supersonic aircraft. It's incredibly important in aeronautics that you demonstrate at scale. So these X-planes are doing giant leaps that can't be done any other way. And of course, we have new entrants that are creating a burgeoning commercial space in LEO and around the moon. Space technologies will help us advance nuclear propulsion and surface power and support the new capabilities we have to safely live and work on the moon, travel to Mars, and have a sustained presence in space. And you guys are making all this happen. This last year has truly been transformational for the agency in terms of the work that we've done, our mission successes, but also how we've carried it out. I mean, we've had to emerge from a global pandemic in the middle of all of this and create for ourselves a new way to work that embraces flexibility. In November, we marked the end of the experimental stage of the future of work. Now, we know we have a lot more work to do as an agency and, in fact, as a society, to stabilize into what that future will look like. But we're building on an incredibly strong foundation because for several years, we've been transforming into our One NASA model. And this year, we've expanded our ability for talent to access work across the agency, removing some of those geographical limitations as we become more hybrid. So I appreciate the work that each one of you do when you go on-site and when you work remotely. All of it contributes and all of it is important. And I'm proud of how our leaders are working with you, the workforce, to evolve our agency culture to make this successful. We have a lot more work ahead this year to ensure that we create a balance in supporting our mission and our teams. And we're going to keep investing in this future work model. And I look to you to make sure that your teams are inclusive and thoughtful about what the team needs and about what the mission needs. So the NASA workforce is really the most amazing group of people anywhere in the world. And as a team, we achieve spectacular successes. And in the coming year, we're going to see a lot more. We'll see more communications. We'll talk about the future of work together. We'll be focusing on investments in facilities and IT that are investments in the workforce to ensure that our infrastructure better supports how we work now. I have to give a shout out to our supervisors. They're doing a fantastic job of working with employees to figure out what works for the organization and the individual. It will continue to be a team effort. And in the meantime, please continue to be mindful of your mental health. Take the rest and the care that you need over the holiday to be ready for another big year. Be kind to each other, be kind to yourself. I look forward to celebrating the amazing year of 2022 as we look ahead to the breathtaking milestones in 2023, thanks to your hard work and dedication. Thank you.
Take 66. Hi, I'm NASA astronaut Rajachari.
I'm Kayla Barron.
I'm Tom Marshburn.
And I'm Mark Vanderheim.
2022 has been an awesome year for space exploration.
Whether it was the launching of the James Webb Telescope, the DART mission, the Artemis 1 launch, and by the way, we came back from space. It's been an awesome 2022.
And that was all made possible because of the hard work that was put in at NASA centers throughout the country.
And a grateful nation, and certainly us and Crew 3 and all the astronauts want to thank you for your contributions to our space program.
Wow, what a year. You know, I got to give you guys credit. None of that would have been accomplished without all of you. You are the reason that we had such an amazing, amazing year. You heard about all the great things from the administrator that we accomplished, and Pam talked about the future that's ahead of us too. It's absolutely outstanding what we are going to accomplish together. Now, what I want to ask all of you is that you take and rededicate yourselves to our core values: safety, integrity, teamwork, excellence, inclusion. If we all take those to heart and work together, we're going to have another successful year. You know, I can't imagine not being part of this team. I am so blessed to be with you, to be here, to accomplish all that we do, to be part of the leadership team with Bill and Pam. You know, there was a rumor going around that I was going to retire. I don't know where that came from. You know, I mean, people have been saying that. 5 years ago, somebody asked me that, and I said, in another year or so. So don't believe it, all right? I cannot imagine not being part of this team, to seeing what we're accomplishing together. It is absolutely great. Now, when I talk about safety, we accomplished an awful lot last year. As we go into 2023, we're going into January, and we'll talk more about this, but it's the 20th anniversary of Columbia next year. And I want us all to remember the lessons learned, okay? We cannot forget that. We are going to be successful if we pay attention to our core values, take safety to heart, okay? So I'm asking all of you, please, as we go through our daily work throughout this year and into the next, that you are paying attention to what you do, that you're in the moment, that you're not thinking about something else. We cannot afford to have anyone hurt. We have to really look out for one another, and that's your job. We take care of one another. You know, as the administrator said, we've been #1 on the Federal Employee Viewpoint Survey 10 years in a row. Why is that? Okay? And I think there's a couple reasons. I think it's because of what we call our NASA family, that we're all a part of. We do look out for one another. And I think it's also because of this amazing mission that we have, what we accomplish when we work together as one. You know, when you go home at night, you're not making a difference for your home center, for the state that you live in. You're not making a difference for the United States. You're making a difference for humanity. That's what we do. We push the boundaries. We explore for humanity. And I can't imagine not being part of that team. As Pam said, and the administrator, it has been a truly busy year, all right? And we're coming to the end of it. And we got one more huge mission. We got to get off here, launch SWAT safely out on the West Coast. But then there's a little bit of a break. And I hope that all of you take time off to recharge, as Pam asked also, okay? It's really important. We got a lot going on next year, and I want you to come back strong and ready to go. We all need a break. I also want to take a moment to thank all of your friends and family and those that support you. I know what it takes to pay attention to the job that we do, to deliver on what we do, and it's hard. It's demanding. It asks a lot of us, all right? And we couldn't do it without the support of our friends and our families. So please, from me to all of you, go home and thank them, all right? Thank them for the great job that they do taking care of you. And let's have an absolutely outstanding 2023. I know it's going to be another banner year for NASA, and it's going to be because of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Associate Administrator Cabana. We appreciate that. So now we're going to hear from some of our mission directorates. They're going to share with us what's coming up and what they are most happy about as far as what was accomplished in 2022. And it's only fitting to start with our Associate Administrator, Dr. Thomas Zurbuchen, and we'll also hear from the Associate Administrator for our Exploration Systems Development, Jim Free.
Hey, I'm Thomas Zurbuchen, also known as Dr. Z, and the Associate Administrator of the Science Mission Directorate. And I'm so excited to talk about the 2022 accomplishments. We had an amazing year. Frankly, it's hard to find a year like this anywhere in the history of NASA that we had in the science program. And of course, at the top, I want to talk about the amazing people and the amazing mission, which is the James Webb Space Telescope, and everything that enabled it. In the first month of the year, this telescope was unfolded and then focused in ways no telescope has ever done in space. It has since then imaged the universe, and frankly, even in our own solar system, provided insights that we've never seen before. It's revealing the universe in an entirely new way. Congrats again to that team, and the best is yet to come. September 26 was a historic impact of DART onto an asteroid, and for the first time in history, humanity deliberately changed the orbit of a celestial object. With that, we proved the technology that will be available for planetary defense. One of the many ways the NASA science program helps humanity and actually protects lives potentially. That is what our Earth science missions are doing, and EMIT is one of 5 overall focus missions on Earth science. We're out there and are providing new insights looking at our own planet, a planet that's changing too rapidly, unfortunately, but one where the best way to observe it is from space. EMIT is providing, with its hyperspectral data, new insights that we've never seen about our Earth, and especially looking already at kind of leaky pipelines and helping providers of these pipelines seal them up, but also make the world a better place through it. As we go forward, 2023 promises to be another amazing year, and many of the milestones are actually later in a year, such as the OSIRIS-REx sample return on September 24th in the Utah desert. This is a sample that's coming back, a unique sample return from an asteroid that has been collected early in 2020. The spacecraft is on its way as we speak. Everything is going well. I can't wait for that to be back. The big American 2023 eclipse on October 14th will be a highlight, looking at our star and the moon in front of it. We expect the majority of all Americans to also look into the sky, but also at the NASA content that we're providing, celebrating the research of our star. We, of course, are remembering that the Parker Solar Probe is going to break records in that year as well about proximity and otherwise. And as we look at the moon getting in front of the sun, we of course think of the Artemis science that is becoming our focus with the release of the decadal survey of biological and physical sciences and our investments in Artemis science experiments that will be used by astronauts on the surface of the moon. We celebrate that science. All of the science that I talked about will be open, increasingly open, without hurdles, that people can use the data and make it available for anybody's benefit. With that, I just want to thank all of my NASA colleagues, both at the leadership level, but also the amazing individuals that we're working with each and every day, and wish them the best of holidays and, of course, an amazing next year. Thank you.
We've had a remarkable year for our first year as a mission directorate with so many accomplishments. We have a comprehensive plan for Artemis 1 through 5, hardware in production all around the world, and multi-billion-dollar procurements in work, all enabling us to tell a story of what we are doing to build a long-term presence at the moon. I'm proud of our team for implementing a plan and process to orchestrate our mission success. And while all of this is beyond cool, our people are making our moon and Mars efforts a reality. The expertise and dedication that each of you bring daily to execute this most complex project ever done in human history is astounding. You give up nights, weekends, and time with your families to pursue this dream. You are the reason we are going. To top it all off, this year, we launched and flew Artemis 1. We've come incredibly far in just this past month. Everyone involved in getting us to this point should be proud of the work that's been done. Artemis is no longer hardware at the launch pad, and being on a path to the moon is no longer plans on paper. It is here and it is now. And as much as I want to stop and savor this moment, we have so many amazing things to look forward to in just the next year. Soon, Orion will be back at the Cape, and we'll begin to offload the payloads and the parts we need for Artemis 2. In the new year, we'll announce our first Artemis crew, the first astronauts to fly in lunar orbit in over 50 years. We'll continue to advance our hardware and make progress in our procurements, bringing on new commercial and international partners, and advancing our existing relationship to help build a robust lunar ecosystem. We'll baseline our architecture for future Artemis missions, setting the course for a long-term exploration strategy. 2022 was a banner year for our newest mission directorate, and the future is shaping up to exceed it. I'm looking forward to everything the new year will bring. Thank you to our amazing team for all you do to make our mission successful day in and day out. You are the most important part of the equation, and all that we have accomplished and will achieve is due to your hard work.
What an amazing recap. So, Administrator Nelson, I have a question for you. No doubt, 2022 has been a banner year. What would you say you're most looking forward to in 2023?
Accelerating Artemis 2 into next year. But it's going to take a while to get those avionics out of Artemis 1, get them retested, recertified. And in 24, we will do what we've been looking forward to doing for a long time. But in the meantime, I think we are having a profound, better sense of who we are and where we are and what we are by the discoveries that all these folks are making. And you put that as the backdrop as we continue to press outward to that new frontier out there. And I'm looking forward to every day in 2023.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that too. Now we'll have a message from our Associate Administrator of NASA's Aeronautics Research Mission Directorate, Bob Pierce, and Bob Gibbs, Associate Administrator of our Mission Support Directorate.
It's been an exciting year. At NASA's Aeronautics Research Mission Director, our work enables lasting impacts on the aviation system. 2022 is a year that provided a glimpse into the impacts that our research, our technology, our partnerships, and people will have. We're creating better ways for people and cargo to fly, faster, cleaner, and serving more areas of the country. In 2022, international stakeholders joined the U.S. in setting a goal of net zero carbon emissions by 2050. NASA is working as a leader in this effort through our Sustainable Flight National Partnership. This won't be an easy task, but collaboration will make it possible. We've made major steps towards more sustainable aviation, testing transformative aircraft designs, hybrid electric propulsion, and sustainable fuels that will lead to innovative commercial products. Our X-57 Maxwell all-electric aircraft continue to generate knowledge that will help advance U.S. development of smaller, sustainable vehicles. And in the coming year, we will begin building a sustainable flight demonstrator aircraft that will demonstrate green technologies and prove how efficient aviation can be. We're working to help redesign our national airspace, making it adaptable, flexible, and publicly acceptable for new kinds of aircraft and operations. For example, through our Advanced Air Mobility mission, we worked with industry to collect valuable noise data from prototype electric air taxis in flight. Our Quest mission saw its X-59 aircraft coming together undergoing critical tests. Next year, this supersonic aircraft will make its first flight, possibly bringing the world closer to quiet supersonic flight over land. How do we get this done? Our workforce is one of our greatest strengths, one we work to nurture and to expand. For example, in 2022, our University Innovation Project and other initiatives like it fostered new groups of innovation accelerators, project leads of greater diversity, and university researchers turned into new NASA hires. NASA Aeronautics also funded more interns and saw more of its awardees receive PhDs and transition into new jobs with the aviation industry. This has been the kind of year that makes you look forward to the future. I'm excited to be at the agency, leading the way to an aviation transformation for the benefit of all of us. Remember, NASA's with you when you fly. I want to thank the NASA Aeronautics team and NASA for such a great year, and I look forward to working with you next year.
Hello. As the Associate Administrator for the Mission Support Directorate, I have the distinct honor of representing NASA offices across the mission support enterprise who help ensure every launch, every discovery, every innovation has the support it needs to be successful. This dedicated workforce underpins each of NASA's triumphs by providing our programs, missions, and centers what they need when they need it. The mission support community touches every part of NASA and is essential to its success. I'm excited to share with you a few of our recent accomplishments and to tell you where we're headed in the coming year. In 2022, the Office of the Chief Human Capital Officer worked with our mission centers and the NASA Shared Service Center to improve how we find and hire the best talent. As a result, NASA's time to hire dropped 30% in a year, from 94 days to 73 days in November of 2022, well under the 80 days recommended by the Office of Personnel Management. Efforts like this help NASA's missions and centers compete for the next generation of scientists, engineers, and leaders. Another example, over the past year, NASA's Office of the Chief Information Officer has improved how we protect our vital systems. Collectively, these enhancements now prevent more than 5 billion unauthorized attempts to access NASA networks and 1.5 million email threats weekly. Further, alongside the Mission Support Directorate, OCIO has been developing key technology focus areas that will set standards across our mission support enterprise and help them plan their future technology roadmaps, translating into better services for our centers and missions. Finally, the Office of Strategic Infrastructure has, over the past year, been leading and developing a new agency master plan. By working in concert with stakeholders across the agency, this plan aligns NASA's real property assets to mission requirements, helping us identify the properties NASA should sustain, invest, or repurpose or divest, so we can meet the needs of the Artemis generation and the generations that follow. As we move into 2023, the Mission Support Committee will develop the people, technology, and infrastructure that will carry NASA from the moon to Mars and beyond. Building on 2022's momentum, we will see a renewed focus on decreasing time to hire, further development of technology roadmaps, and finalization of the agency master plan. I want to extend a sincere thanks for everything that everyone in the mission support community did in 2022. It was a lot of work. It took a lot of effort and required everyone to lean in to tackle very difficult problems. I'm incredibly proud of what we've done in 2022, and I look forward to what we're going to do together in 2023. From the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate all that you do for the agency going forward.
All right, yeah, that's what we do at NASA. We lean in. So, Deputy Administrator Milroy, I have a question for you. Bob reminded us that NASA is with you when we fly. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're doing as far as the green aviation is concerned?
Yes, very exciting. I just think it's amazing, NASA's history in aeronautics. Of course, NASA was built on NACA. It was originally an aeronautics organization. And most people don't realize how just about everything in a modern aviation, like if you're sitting on an airliner, how much of the critical technologies were developed by NASA. Not only that, NASA also helped develop the air traffic control system in the United States. Imagine that. Those things, I think not everybody really understands, and it's had an enormous impact on industry. Well, now we've got an existential threat, right? So aviation is one of the hardest areas to decarbonize. It is incredibly difficult. So some very aggressive targets have been set, and the Aeronautics Mission Directorate is stepping up to the plate. So not only the electric aircraft that is also going to help us, and the sustainable aviation fuels that Bob talked about, but the next generation, the next X-plane, I love it. We're waiting for 2 to fly next year, and we're already talking about the next one. Love it. So coming right behind that, the Sustainable Flight Demonstrator, which is aiming at using aerodynamic shaping and other capabilities to reduce emissions and fuel burn by 25%. So again, you just cannot change a whole industry in a step function, a big leap forward, without doing it at scale. You can spin off small subsystems, but it takes an X-plane to make that giant leap. And that's what we're known for, and that's what our Aeronautics Directorate's going to do.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator Milroy. All right, next up, Jim Reuter, Associate Administrator for Space Technology, and, Kathy Leaders, our Associate Administrator for Space Operations.
On behalf of the Space Technology Mission Directorate, I want to thank the dedicated individuals across every NASA center and at our commercial and academic partners for an exceptional year. Because of your hard work, technology drives exploration. Space Tech's 2022 was filled with ground tests, launches, in-space demonstrations, collaborations, strategic planning, and more. Space Tech has more than 1,400 technology projects and 140 planned flight demonstrations. This year, we supported the investment of $230 million to small businesses. Projects within our Lunar Surface Innovation Initiative advanced, and the consortium now has participation from more than 700 organizations. Space Tech's strength is the breadth of what we do and how we work with diverse organizations across the country. This summer, the Laser Communications Relay Demonstration began its 2-year experiment program. We're testing different scenarios to refine the performance of two-way optical communications between spacecraft and the ground. Our capstone CubeSat launched in June. Despite a few challenges, it entered the unique orbit planned for Gateway last month, making it the first CubeSat to operate at the moon. The resilience and problem-solving of the joint industry-government team made it possible. Capstone will spend the next few months learning about the orbit and testing a new navigation technology. Helping us close out an outstanding year was the successful lofted demonstration. We wanted to know if the inflatable decelerator design works. The answer is a resounding yes. The aeroshell flawlessly inflated in orbit and re-entered Earth's atmosphere. As the project manager observed, with the lofted demonstration and Artemis 1 launch, the U.S. has both a new heavy upmass and a heavy downmass capability. This is a huge step in enabling human access and exploration. These are just a few highlights from this year, but technologies at every stage of development progressed as we prepare for fast approaching 2023 flights. I saw Prime 1 in the lab earlier this year. Prime 1 will be the first demonstration to find and extract resources on the moon. A Hopper robot and 4G LTE communication system will be tested on the same mission. Space Tech continues to foster the next generation of explorers. I know many readers eagerly anticipate the 2023 release of the second graphic novel in the First Woman series. Next year, we will also see experiments developed by middle and high schoolers take to the skies on suborbital flights. All 57 teams selected for the inaugural TechRise Student Challenge delivered their payloads on time. And we will inspire more students from more parts of the country with our second TechRise Challenge. Continued investment in technology and people will sustain space exploration. Space Tech relies on diverse ideas from a diverse workforce to transform NASA missions and ensure American leadership in space.
Wow, what a year that we've had in space ops. I mean, golly, it's just been a time of amazing support and transformation for how we are operating in space. And it's particularly important that here we are right now getting ready for our SWAT mission. And our launch services program folks have been consistently launching our space tech and science missions and doing an awesome job making sure that those missions are delivered safely to space. But we've also been transforming how we're going to do launches. So awesome job, their launch services program and division. And I'm just amazed at what SCAN's doing. And when you see that every single data piece that we're getting down from Earth is coming from our communication networks, and those beautiful Webb satellite pictures and the amazing Artemis lunar pictures are coming through that network. You guys are doing awesome. But we're also getting ready for the future. And we are right now in a transformation period for both our near space networks and our deep space networks. And so just wait and see what we are going to be rolling out over these next years. Meanwhile, in LEO, we're not only getting ready to extend station to 2030, but we're getting ready for the future in LEO. And we are going to be using these platforms and continuing to use ISS to figure out how to live and work in space, to get us to be able to live and work on the moon and be able to then go and move to Mars. And that takes a whole team of folks that have been working with industry partners, figuring out how to do operations, doing science, and most of all, figuring out how to keep our most precious resource, our crews, safe by doing analog missions here on Earth and getting ready to do the science and technology work on the station. I am so proud of the Space Ops team. You guys are doing awesome. You're getting us ready to do operations today, but you're also getting us ready to do operations in the future. Most of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you to the whole NASA team, this awesome team family that we have, and hope you all have some time off with your family and friends, and looking forward to a fabulous new year.
All right, Associate Administrator Cabana, what would you say are some of the biggest moves in human spaceflight and space technology in 2022?
Well, from a space technology point of view, I mean, that capstone mission is just outstanding, what it's doing in its orbit around the moon, defining that for Gateway. And that's just a CubeSat, you know, that's doing that. I look at the technologies that are coming out of space technology, and it's paving the way for the future. You know, from a space ops point of view, I think our continued operations on the International Space Station, in spite of all the challenges, getting the crews up there and trying to commercialize low Earth orbit. We flew the first private astronaut mission to the space station. That was a great learning experience, helping us pave the way for the future as we establish commercial LEO destinations. You know, it's how we work together, I think, that's the amazing thing. You know, I got asked the other day, what am I most looking forward to? You know, I look at our accomplishments and what am I looking forward to? And to me, I can't wait to get back out to the centers again next year and talk to the people and just hear from them what they are doing to enable our mission. We are just doing so many amazing things, especially in the technology area that, you know, when I was out at Ames, when I was at Marshall, every center that I go to, the technology that's being developed is absolutely amazing, preparing for us to have this sustainable presence on the moon and going on to Mars. So it never ceases to end. It's absolutely awesome what this team does.
Well, I can speak on behalf of Goddard. We're looking forward to having you back.
I'm looking forward to it, too.
All right, good. All right, thank you.
Three, two, one. Boosters in ignition.
Let us hope that this milestone will inspire us to transcend all possible manner of difference, as the great Du Bois once put it, and keep foremost in mind all that we have in common as human beings, as sisters and brothers here on Earth.
After hearing all that we've heard, I can't help to be inspired. Aren't you all inspired too? So as we've heard throughout the program, we've had a lot to be happy for in 2022 and a lot to look forward to in 2023. This year, the world watched with bated breath as we, and that means all of us, made the impossible possible. So let's give ourselves a big round of applause. Let's also thank our leadership team, Administrator Nelson, Deputy Administrator Melroy, and Associate Administrator Cabana. Thank you so much for your leadership. Although this event is coming to an end, I hope that the celebrations and accolades continue, as this year has been worth celebrating and inspiring to be a part of. For closing remarks, please welcome back Administrator Bill Nelson.
You all know there's a can-do spirit at NASA, and it offers inspiration not only here, but abroad, around the world. We're never going to stop exploring the unknown in air and space. we're not going to stop innovating for the benefit of humanity and inspiring the world through discovery. 60 years ago, a young president stood on a podium at a Rice Stadium full of people and said 7 very important words. We go to the moon. He said, we go to the moon and do other things, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. And he set a goal for this NASA family. It's a can-do spirit. It's also a spirit that not only unites us, but it unites the people that we deal with. In a world of such division and hate that we see, this is an experience in the NASA family where we all come together and we bring others of opposite persuasion together. There was a philosopher, a historian, someone who had a great grasp of the future named Carl Sagan, a scientist. And he said, exploration is in our nature. We began as wanderers, and we are wanderers still. We have lingered long enough on the shores of the cosmic ocean. We are ready at last to set sail for the stars. We have set sail for the stars. Now we're going to reach out to the unreachable stars. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless NASA. Thank you.